So, after the morning session, there was a great deal of, I hope, it was intended, but I don't know if it happened, some churning. In the old story of the Bhagavad, where Samudra Manthan took place, you know that? The ocean of milk was churned by the Devas and the Asuras, using Vasuki, the snake, as a rope. You know, when you churn buttermilk, milk, then butter comes out. So, they churned. And the first thing that came out was poison. And then they kept churning. And then the amrit came out. So when you churn, some poison spills. And then after that, then the amrit comes. So after the morning session, don't look so serious. You relax. So after the morning session, I am going to give you two choices. If you have any questions or thoughts based on the morning session, we can deal with it for some time, or I can go on to the next session. It's up to you to decide. Give me a majority vote and we'll do accordingly. Put up your hands, which one you want? No question? Wow. Can we deal with that? Because when we go on, that might act as a block. Yes, please.
So we talked about the mind.
Yes.
We also talked about a witness.
Yes.
How do we generally differentiate between the mind and the witness?
Right. Now, this is a Vedantic question. The mind is what we know. We know of the mind. Even when I say, I am the self, it's still the mind saying that. So mind is the only thing that we know of. That other which we're talking about, we don't know. We don't know at the moment. It is known, or the mind realizes that even the capacity that it has to think. What is the first thought of the mind that occurs before the complex thoughts come? I exist. Right? Even to say I exist, there is something other than material, other than chemically produced material objects. There is a consciousness, there is a core. When the mind realizes that, and in that realization, it kind of becomes totally still, even dissolves. Then what is left is that. Till then, even when you are speculating on it, it's still the mind.
I asked that because, that was a follow question from that. It's the same thing, like the dream state and the waking state. In the waking state, I am Ramakrishna.
You are Ramakrishna. That's wonderful, because some people say in meditation I like to be like Ramakrishna. In waking state I am Ramakrishna Hari, come on.
And in the dream state, since I'm dreaming, I'm Ramakrishna. So, but there is a time when I know that I'm dreaming, but I also know that I am that person. So I can enact what I want to do as that person. But also with the knowledge that I am this person.
Exactly. That this person is that person.
Right. So then I'm like, okay, which person am I?
Tat Tvamashi means that this person is that person. That
Right.
Tvamashi, you are that. Okay? It's okay, don't worry, you can ask. It was just a general consensus that we should go on, but everybody is happy with that. No? Okay.
So we are talking about consciousness and the witness. So what is the nature of consciousness? Is it nothing, or is it everything, or is it both? Or
Now
what are we seeking for?
Okay. Now let me tell you this. Right now, this question you're asking is a very speculative question, right? Because you don't know what it is, but according to my descriptions and whatever we discussed, or what the Upanishad says, you're asking me what it actually is, right? Now see, this is precisely what the study of Vedanta is all about. The study of Vedanta, it doesn't say it is this. It says it is not this. Let me explain again. Because what we are seeking, or what is the ultimate consciousness which you said, is something which the limited brain, the limited mind cannot really explain of. Because it doesn't have the tools or the capacity to explain. Right? So, what Vedanta does in the process is to eliminate all that we might think is consciousness, until you are left finally with something which is no, which cannot be negated anymore. So, this is why the acharyas who teach Vedanta use the sound Neti, which means not this, and not this, not this. Then finally they come to that which cannot be reduced any further, which cannot be eliminated, which cannot be negated, then it is there. Now you asked another question, which is a very interesting question. Is it nothing? Well, I would say it is no thing. You get what I'm trying to say? Not nothing, but it is no thing. Which is why in some disciplines or some philosophies, it is called shunyata. The Vedantin would prefer to call it purnatha, but in some schools it is called shunyata. Even among the Nartha Sampradaya school, sometimes it is called shunyata. Because it is that which defies all our definitions. And that it is not nothing, but it is the source from which everything came, but which looks not like anything we know of, so we think it is nothing. In the Chandogya Upanishad, son of a young rishi goes to his father and talks to him about the truth. So there seems to be some confusion there. So the father says, you see that Nagroda tree there? There's a big tree there. Don't worry what tree, big tree there. Yes, I can see it, father. Can you go there and get me one seed from that? Yes, father. In those days they always said father. So he gets one seed from there. What do you see? I see the seed with its skin on it. So the father says to the son, take off the seed, take off the rind. So he takes it off. What do you see now? I see the kernel inside, white, Kernel, kernel inside. Okay? He says, remove it. Okay, remove. What do you see? I see little black seeds there. He says, pick up one of those seeds, okay? Open it. Opens. First of all, the seed is so tiny. He opens it. What do you see? He says, sir, I see nothing. And says the rishi to the son, it is from this nothing that this whole Nagroda tree has come. You get what? This is the Chandogya Upanishad. Read it. So, it appears to be nothing to us because we cannot define it through all the things that we know. But it's not nothing. It's nothing to us. It is more than something. So, to put it openly to you, those who know, know, those who know not. That's all. But we have to look at all these to convince our mind that we are still there is something that we're looking for, which doesn't fit into any known patterns that we think of. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It is the beginning of all existence. The Upanishad calls it Purna. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamaduchyate. Now that Purna looks so much like Shunya because it is not a thing that you can pinpoint. So you can say it is no thing, but you cannot say it nothing. Even ordinary emotions sometimes we cannot define. Imagine that. Okay, I give you a simple example. There are two young people standing in the bus stop, any bus stop, and looking at each other for hours. Boy and a girl, I mean, not two boys. I mean, that is possible too. But anyway, and then you don't know. What are you looking at? Oh, nothing. They say nothing, right? But it is not nothing. Something. So you ask them, "Bhai, kya ho raha hai?" Kuch hota hai. They don't know what. Cannot define. So even such things we cannot define. Imagine that. Sometimes some of the joys that we experience in life we cannot define. It just happens. So try to define that is impossible. In fact, when all definitions are removed, then some person who was more a devotee than a Vedantin gave some other example for this. He said, suppose there is a sculpture sitting on a rock and trying to carve an image of Krishna out of it, or Shiva, sitting on the rock. Till now it's only a rock, right? It's not become Shiva yet. That will happen after the prana pradishta and avahana and everything. Right now it's just there. Knocking, chipping. What is he doing? Is he chipping out what is unwanted so that the image remains, or is he chipping out the image? Yeah, exactly. So that when all the unwanted have been chipped off, what happens? That Shiva remains in the same way. Think about it this way. When you've chipped off all that, which can be understood by the mind or by the senses, and there's still something remaining which is difficult to put your finger on, this is what we're thinking of. Still, we are only thinking of it, it's not that. This young lady had some question. No, behind you. Oh, you can come back, yes.
And explaining the need of Kriya. My question is very generic. In this, you mentioned that each one of us here is at different stage of their spirituality journey. So what's the one takeaway we should come out of after these 2 days of session so that we are not discouraged and still continuing on our journey?
Okay. The takeaway, everybody wants a takeaway. It's not a drive-in takeaway, but the takeaway is this, that we all are being human beings. We all have an intention of finding something which is happy, blissful, which remains forever. Everybody is the same on that. But depending on our limitations and our past and so on, don't even think of the past, last life, even this life. Our speeds in this journey may vary. Something you have to keep in mind. Maybe, we don't know, like they say, chupa rustum, so you don't know, maybe you are already a perfected soul come to just finish something. Possible. Then you may do it tomorrow only. Even before going from here, you may say, okay sir, I'm done. Yeah. Okay, no problem. But it doesn't mean that it should always be so. And like every other path and every other journey, there are milestones, there are obstacles. So, if you ask me for the takeaway, my suggestion is, don't give up. Stay. One day you'll handle it. This is the main thing, because I get discouraged very easily, because in the world things are easier to it. I follow a certain rules and regulations, and I'm there, I get it. You order something on Amazon, it comes, they'll tell you in 10 days or whatever, or 2 days, and you have it. So it's concrete, right? We are accustomed to that. In this field, you must say that this is not like that, so let me move out of this thing. I think that would be, and then you'll be happy, because you'll see as each day progresses, if you're not discouraged, you're going nearer the goal. One. Second, if I can touch, you can touch. Carry this happy thought with you. I had to go through a lot of difficulties getting. I hope I got there, I don't know, or maybe I'm mad, but
Sir, the question I have is like in the same continuation to that thought, right? Like, does the presence near someone who has touched it? Like when you were with Maheshwarnath Babaji, right? When you were with Maheshwarnath Babaji, right? Did that accelerated the pace, or it was more of, because when we are here, right, we feel different thought process, or like we see different experiences.
Okay, enough, I got it. I don't know where you get this question from. Well, the fact is, yes, because when I went as a young man to Babaji, well, something was in my background which made me very keen, and I decided already that no, whatever obstacle happens, I'm going to work on it. This I had decided. But we are human beings, right? We have our own problems and weaknesses and everything. So I used to have some obstacles coming up once in a while. I didn't fall from heaven, okay? Not a Superman. So I found that it was easier for me to meditate and get into this path when Babaji was around. There's no question about that in my mind. But I must tell you that he was all the time trying to put it in my mind that you have to stand on your own feet, you have to be independent. In spite of that, sometimes he thought I got too attached to him. And then he would walk away. He said, get out. Yeah, I don't know if you have ever written it or what. But this has happened to me a couple of times. One day he said, Acha, abhi sab tera danda uthao jao. I said, but Babaji, where should I go? He said, go. Because you got too caught up with me. Leave me. Go, meditate somewhere else. So, first time this happened, I was thoroughly disappointed. I said, I think this man has tried me and sees that I'm useless, so he's throwing me out. This is the thought that went through my mind. So I said, okay. I just got up. You know, when you're young, you're also slightly arrogant, so not slightly. So I got up, I took my stick, I took my bag. So I didn't even tell him bye. I didn't fall at his feet. I was so upset. Usually I always touch his feet before doing anything. I just went off. I said, let's see what happens. I think Babaji appreciated that. And I went off. I was walking from Rishikesh. The Chandrabhaga used to flow there. Now all this thing about shifting rivers, it's gone somewhere else. So I went this way. There were peacocks dancing there, white peacocks. I still proceeded. There was a light rainfall. It was nice. I said, if you get wet, okay, you'll dry when the sun comes out. You remember, I was 20 years old. After some time, I heard some sound of leaves crunching on the ground. At first, there was a guy who said, I'll come with you. I was trying to be alone. There was one guy started talking to me. I am a retired, not retired. I was a judge in some court, and he gave up. And after some time, I said, Babaji, please, I want to. Okay, he went off. So then I heard this sound. It could be an animal, it could be human being. But somewhere deep down, I thought maybe Babaji will take me back. And then I heard him call. Because he always called me, when we initiated into the Nath Sampradaya, he gave me the name of Madhukarnath. So he always called me Madhu. So I heard that voice, Madhu, so I knew whose voice. Nobody called me so sweetly Madhu. But I didn't turn. I stood there, but I didn't turn. So then he put his hand from behind on my shoulder. Then I turned, it's the least you could expect. And then I touched his feet. I won't say this, but I was kind of crying a little bit. So I put my hand on his feet and I said, Babaji. Then he asked me, Acha, kahan ja rahe ho? Where are you going? I said, I don't know. You said go, and I'm going. I said, I'm going. So he said, oh, then, all in Hindi. Then he said, oh, then if I call you, you'll come back. I said, yeah, of course. You said go, I'm going. You call, I'll come back. He said, chalo. So I went back. It's about 1.5 hours, 2 hours time. I returned back to him. He said, you know why I threw you out. I said, yes, I know. So now go and sit down and meditate. So you're right, sometimes the presence helps, but like Babaji said, you should stand on your own feet. You should learn to be, see, why do I feel so? Because there is a dynamo which has all these energies. And so I'm like a piece of iron filing. So when I go close, I get stuck there. Okay. Then I become a magnet. Like when your iron becomes a magnet, in the presence of a magnet. But then you need to become a permanent magnet, because when you remove it after some time, the magnetism is gone. That's not the intention. So, wind your electric wire around your spine and send the electricity on so that you become a permanent magnet. Not a temporary magnet which comes by rubbing the magnet. Right? So, it's true. That's why people go to sit before yogis and meditate. Or in some places where yogis have lived, there's something different happening. Go there and sit. It does have an effect, I'm not denying that. Ultimately, you should become a yogi and others should feel it, no? Why should you always be on the receiving side? Be on the giving side. There was a great Sufi called Jalaluddin Rumi. I don't know if many people have heard of Rumi. So his tomb is somewhere close to, is a little bit away from Istanbul. And it's a big tomb. On that it's written, he wrote something and kept there before he died. It is in Persian. It says, why do you break your head on this tomb? Do as I do and tomorrow you will be respected. Tute ki guri mardan re parasti bigirdi re mardan girdorasti. It's written there in Persian. So, while you should respect, you should get all that, I agree with you. But you should say that one day I also have to reach the stature where I don't need anybody else. If you say I don't need them, I don't mind, I'm happy. Till then, good thing. Let it go on as long as it goes. You were saying something?
So this question stems from what you just explained to this lady here, to this girl here. So in the spiritual progress of individuals who are currently living here, in this world, whether real, unreal, I don't know, but in this world.
Yeah.
So, from what you said, the children that I have, I may be at a certain stage in my spiritual journey. The children that I have here, they are younger to me in age, in physical age.
Yeah.
But it is quite possible that they are way advanced spiritually than I am.
Quite possible.
So how come they became my children here,
Maybe there's something.
Okay,
Who knows?
okay.
Maybe the mother is moving on the path. Maybe someday they will figure it out. We can't say. I can't say. First of all, I haven't seen your children. Secondly, for sitting here, I cannot say what's happening. But I have found this, that if you have come here, or anywhere else for spiritual sakha, and you're trying to find your path and so on, and you have children, there must be some reason they were born in your womb. It cannot be reasonless. The fact is, many of the things that happen and which we cannot explain is because we don't know. That doesn't mean it doesn't have an explanation. You cannot dismiss it off. How many children do you have? Boy, girl?
One daughter who's older and a son.
How old?
My daughter is around 34 and she's a anesthesiologist in New York. My son is around 28 and he is a software developer.
And your husband?
I'm single.
Okay. That's right?
Namaste, Guruji. My question is similar to his question, where one night I woke up, but I woke up within, and I felt that I have opened my eyes, but I'm seeing within my body. I can't exactly point out where, but somewhere in near the heart, and I was able to hear my own snoring, and it was very snoring.
Snoring, yeah.
Yeah, it was very karkasha. And I was there for, I think, quite some time. And then suddenly I realized that, oh my God, I'm here trapped inside. And after that, I was just there. I thought after that I would come out. I was just there and I myself voluntarily pulled myself out because I got scared. So I wanted to know if, is this some weird experience, or is this that Antaranga Chakshu that people talk about in Vedanta? What is it? It was very weird.
Did you have it spontaneously or did you try anything?
Nothing, Guruji. I didn't think of anything too. I was just doing Shiva Vrata at that time.
Okay. Now what?
I was doing the Sola Somvar Vrat during that time, but I didn't think of anything else. I just slept. It was around 2:30 a.m.
But because of that, there is no functional problems that you have?
No.
No. Okay. So next time, when you have that feeling, don't run away from it. Don't try to pull it out. Don't try to stay there and see no danger will happen. Okay? Then we'll talk.
Okay. So when I realized that I am there, is it Turiya state or is it the mind telling, or what is that?
No, there is a mind definitely playing a role, because saying I'm here. If it is you have reached that core, then there will be nothing and there will be no fear. When the fear element is there and you are asking yourself, oh, what's happening? That means you went somewhere close and that fear took you off. So just stay. Next time it happens, I can guarantee that you will wake up and be alive afterwards. Don't worry about that. But don't have that fear. Just stay with it.
Okay.
Huh?
Okay.
Don't even analyze. Is this me or the mind? Be with it.
Okay. Thank you.
Then when she comes next time and she stays with it, then I will make her sit here and she. This gentleman also wanted to ask some question. Yes, sir. What's your name?
My name? Venkatesh.
Venkatesh. Okay. Sorry, I think I know your name. I see so many people, I know people, but I don't remember their names sometimes.
Namaste Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. I had a question about Aum.
About
Om. Aum, where U represents the dream state.
The
Svapna,
what?
The dream state. The svapna avastha.
Uh-huh.
Is that the dream state where we necessarily are sleeping? Or could that dream state be when we are in awake state, where we are daydreaming, or by extension of that, where I'm struggling with the worries of my mind? After all, it's an illusion in itself, right? So how should one think about it? Is it all is it all of it, or it's a limiting case?
U as representing the dream state was stated by the Rishi in the Upanishad just to make you understand the fact that in the dream also you live a parallel life as you do in this life. But actually in the ultimate sense of the term, U includes the complete sustenance, waking, dream, everything put together, including your imagination, everything exists in that U. Because the function of I is over once it is manifested. The function of Ma is when everything is down and finished, at least disappears into the void. So in between, everything that you see in this world is also part of it. This was only used as a symbol to demonstrate the dream state. It could be daydream, it could be just your imagination, it could be not even that. The whole of life can be represented by this, including in some way the waking state, because from the point of view of the ultimate state of being, even the waking state is like a dream. You see, it should be odd, but then it's true. See, today I exist, as an identity, and therefore the whole world exists. Tomorrow I leave the body, I'm gone. Maybe somewhere I'm still there in my identity, but there's nothing left here to see the world and say, this is the world, this is me. It's gone. So actually there is no border among the dream, waking state, deep sleep. There's no border. The border distinguished only to show you how it is connected. That's all. There is no border. It's a borderless state. Plus, if you think that this world is the only world that exists, this is something strange, because in this vast universe, this earth is just a speck, like a dust. Myriad universes. Just imagine the play of Maya. Somebody asked me yesterday, Maya, that this little being, you and me, sitting in this universe which is like a speck of sand in the Milky Way, thinks that only thing that exists is me and I am the most important fellow. If you think about it, it's unimaginable. It's mind-boggling. Which means what? That even in this little fellow who sits here and thinks that I am the most, there is a spark of the divine, that's why. Because deep down in the subconscious there is a remembrance that you are part of the whole. Purnamada Purnamidam.
Namaste Guruji. So you said karma plays a big role in...
Say that again.
Sorry?
Say that again.
Karma plays a big role in the spiritual progress. So does intoxication have a bad karma? Because you're not hurting anyone, but maybe you're hurting yourself.
Problem with intoxication is that it obscures your capacity to think clearly. That's the only thing. And without thinking clearly, you cannot move forward on the spiritual path. Therefore, if at all you are moving on the spiritual path, it's a good idea not to get your brain numbed by any external influences. It's not a crime. You know what I mean. Plus, we have an intoxication which is positive that happens when you practice spiritual exercises. Even when you develop devotion, there is an intoxication that happens. Now that intoxication is many times better than the outer intoxication. So that is good. This is not so good because it numbs your brain. In none of these practices do we want to numb the brain. We want the brain to be clear and subtle. When the clear mind becomes subtle, it understands these factors. Otherwise it is numb. What happens when you are intoxicated with alcohol, for instance? The central nervous system is totally, what's it called? Paralyzed. We don't want that.
But it doesn't create a bad karma as such.
Create a bad karma. If you want to have a drink, please have a drink. Don't ask me about the bad karma, good karma. She's raising her hand. No, at the back, at the end. In fact, some Sufi said, now get up from this world of intelligence and intellect. Come to my tavern. I have my wine bottle ready. Say, drink the liquor of non-identification. Then what happens will happen. He said, Akhal ke madrase se ut. He said, get up from the intellectual school classroom which you are sitting in. Ishq ke main khade mein aa, come into that tavern where I sell ishq. Jame fana wa bekhudi ab to piya. Now that you have drunk the wine of fana, that means annihilation of the ego, now what are you worried about? Jo ho, so ho. So, if you can do that, I will be happy. Want to go to the other tavern? Well, I'm not so happy.
Hi, I hope you're doing well and thank you for answering all of our questions. So just as a little...
Can you stick to one question?
Yes, just one question. So just as a little bit of background, my mom has been a devotee of yours for a few years and my dad does Kriya every day. They're both volunteering right now and I'm just, here to learn more.
But you've come here before.
Yes, I was here in May and I brought up Harry Potter.
Don't think I miss anybody, huh?
Huh?
I know who comes and who goes. Okay.
So I don't know how to put this into words, but I really do admire how everybody is so committed to their spiritual journey here. But I find it really difficult to even contemplate or think about that when, people are being slaughtered on the other side of the world. And so for me personally, and I know it's a personal flaw, but I feel like it's selfish of me to try to do something internal when I just can't stop thinking about the horrible things that are happening in the world. So is that something that you see a lot of people deal with, and what is your advice to them?
Yeah. First of all, if many more people had found the inner, this would not have been the condition of the world today. So the earlier we get more people into it, the better it is. Understand? It's a very practical thing. If people who are instigating the slaughter, If they had a spiritual understanding, if they were taught or learned by themselves, the slaughter would not have happened. So it's all the more reason why you should change now when all this is happening, so that in the future you are in a position to prevent it. And among the thousands of people, it's a tremendous task, because here we have only 80 people, 50 people. I think even one person changes, it makes a lot of difference. So it's very important, because it is the inner that is reflected outside. It's not the other way around. So, go deep within and find it. Then maybe even your single thought can do a lot of good. One person can change the world. One Hitler changed so many things. Bad way, of course. So one good person can also contribute to it. And for goodness, we are saying, go into your inner mind. There's an inner world which is peaceful, which doesn't mean harm to anybody. So that means this whole session went with. Good? Okay.
Yeah, namaste, Guruji. So in the morning we
I
discussed
have 2 more sessions in the afternoon. Huh? No questions.
Yeah. So in the morning you were talking about it's very important for us to know where we are going. The spiritual
Very
path.
important.
For us to know where we are going, our final destination, the spiritual path. So what exactly is the final destination, the spiritual path? Is samadhi the be all and all? Or is the first step for something else which opens up? So some light on that will be very, very helpful.
Yeah, so this is what I explained before we started the morning session. That we trying, and if you have listened carefully to what I have been saying, you actually have some idea where we are going. Right? Have you listened carefully to this? Where we are going? We are saying we are going, we are not even going, but we are trying to figure out if there is a center in us, which is pure consciousness, which is so blissful and so satisfying. But once you touch there, your mind is totally without any agitation. This is where we are going. But it's not possible because the mind is constantly agitated. So what we are trying to do as a personal exercise is to try to bring down that agitation. Meanwhile, keeping in mind the goal that we are heading towards that which is infinite, blissful and everlasting. Who was that? Was that your phone? Say that again.
So is that the final state after we calm our mind and everything else? There's nothing beyond that?
There's nothing beyond.
Okay.
But then, right now you're thinking of that state only as you imagine it.
Correct.
With your mind.
Right.
When you reach it is not the same as what you're thinking about.
Right.
Huh? But tell me honestly, what was that sound? Where did it come from? Oh, okay.
Namaste, sir. I have a question about the start of the spiritual journey. So in the Supreme Being creating this world, why were humans given the opportunity to go through a karmic life cycle of death and rebirth?
But let me tell you something. This question is very similar to asking, why or where did gravity come from? Well, it is, and you need to handle it, right? So, if you know how to handle it, you will perhaps find the source from where it happened and why it happened. With our puny brains, it's rather, not you, me, it's difficult to figure out the source or intention of this world. But the fact is it exists and we can work on it. If you work on it, you'll probably read the source from which the whole thing has come, then you'll know why it has come. If I, who know it, tell it to you, you will not find it. You will not find the explanation, even logical. I can only say that it is an expansion from, the word Brahman, the Supreme Being, comes from the Sanskrit word bhru, which means ever expanding. Bhru. So there is a nature, inherent nature of the Supreme. Don't ask me why is it, I don't know. Inherent nature to expand. So in this process of expansion, from unity, multiplicity is created. But the ultimate intention is that the multiplicity will once more come back to the unity. You understand what I'm trying to say? So, therefore, the multiplicity or the individuals have forgotten their origin, generally, and therefore when they begin to remember their origin, the pain and the troubles that you're talking about no longer are there. Even now they are not there. It is there because we are individuals, or we think we are individuals. Then you will see that nothing was ever produced or nothing was ever going back. I'm trying to intellectually understand it, reply to your question.
It makes sense. Thank you, sir.
Think about it carefully. There was a young, two children who asked their father and mother, "Dad, do you really love us?" They said, "Yes, both of us love you, Dad and Mom." "If you really love us the best," "Yes, we do." "Then why didn't you invite us for your wedding?" It's somewhat similar. We have 10 more minutes.
Namaste, Guruji. Thank you for sharing wonderful insights and helping us in our spiritual journey. My question is, about the meditation we do. I do Kriya every day.
Very good. How nice.
Sorry?
How nice.
Oh, thank you. But the thing, there are a few moments where I have just line of sight, or I just look at, the cosmos that comes in those moments. My question is, what is when I surrender and devotion? And I'm confused between surrender, devotion, and who am I surrendering to? Because I also believe the female energy is helping me with that union, but there is that confusion as to, okay, what am I surrendering to? These are beautiful moments, but I just want to understand that a little bit more.
If these are beautiful moments and you are enjoying it, and you only started your spiritual journey not too early, just some time back probably, maybe not only now but some time back. Therefore I am saying that if you want to understand this answer to the question which you asked me, I think you should stay longer periods of time in that wonderful feeling that you get. Then you will find that there is nothing to surrender. It's all done. Surrender happens when there are two entities, right? There is something and me, I am trying to surrender. As you go deeper and deeper into the practice, there will be only one entity, which is the divine. There will not be a second you to surrender. Then there is no surrender there. This attitude is developed only to make us move forward on the path, the journey. Who will you surrender to? You are that. In the ultimate essence. So stay in that position whenever it occurs to you, even lightly, like looking at the cosmos, you are lost. Losing yourself is the real meaning of surrender. Surrender is not taking something and surrendering there. When you don't even exist, the thought of you is also gone, there's only this. Then ultimate surrender has already happened. What's your name? Where are you from?
Kerala.
No, here?
Here in California.
Yes, sorry.
Namaskar, Guruji. So this question is coming from a new mom, a
From?
16-month-old mom.
From?
It's me.
From what?
16-month-old mom. So
Mom, okay.
Yeah.
You're a mom.
Yeah.
Where's
So,
the baby?
He's with my husband. He is in sorry, not hospital, hotel
Whatever.
here.
She's here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
He?
yeah. So sometimes he's sick, or sometimes he wants me. I cannot do a yoga meditation all like whenever I want. So I feel guilty about it. And I feel sometimes very bad to continue also. So what suggestions you would give to me?
Look, I'm a father myself. I've also looked after my kids because my wife also was teaching. So we divided the job between us. So I can understand. In fact, only when my son was born, I learned how to change the nappies. I didn't say, look, I am a Himalayan yogi, so I'm not changing nappies. Which is just ego, yeah. So, my advice to you is, you have to look after your kid, it's yours, right? He also has some responsibility of looking after it. Divide it equally between the two of you.
Yeah, we try to do that as much as possible, but sometimes when the kid is not well or...
You have to attend to it.
Yeah.
So, let me tell you that your first thing to do, first duty is of course to look after your child. But don't forget that to find your true essence or your true being, you also need, not only here, you also need to move on the spiritual journey. So keep that in mind. This practically how you do is something, it depends on different situations, different people. I cannot explain to you. But try not to miss this, but also don't be responsible to your child. I don't know how you do it, but we need to do that. And when mother and father are bringing up a child, especially when the child is small, they both are working and so on, there's normally differences of opinion may rise, and we should be able to sort them out. It has happened with me, it can happen with anybody, but if you think that this child belongs to us and not to you or to him, then the whole thing changes. I don't know what practical hints to give you. As soon as you go from here, go straight there and see the child. We have time for one more question. Huh?
Hey there.
Why are you wearing the sunshade? Sorry, I'm just kidding.
I
I
had
wanted
a question.
to see your eyes, but I couldn't. Now okay, you can wear it. Sorry.
I had a question with, I've been singing for at least 12 years.
You've been doing what?
I've been singing for
Singing.
for 12 years, and I've had this.
You do a good job.
Oh, thank you. I had a question regarding, the connection between music and spirituality. And one thing is that, I've had different answers in terms of this kind of connection between, when I'm singing these kritis and this kind of bhavam I'm adding to the music versus me, is the feeling of me actually singing in the way that I kind of, bring that emotion to the music the same way I feel in spirituality, the kind of that blissfulness. I want to know if it's kind of interchangeable in terms of the feeling between those two practices.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now this is being a very serious question, and since I have some inputs on this, I would like to take it fresh when I come back. Not now.
Okay.
It's over, time is over. So when I come back, first I will deal with this question. No more questions, because we need to go for. I will deal, because this is important, so I will deal with this question, and then we'll go to the next part of the lessons. that are required. Huh? Okay? That's an important question, and I think I have some inputs. So thank you. Enjoy your lunch. I think the kitchen is quite good, huh? Not bad, I hope.